We're going to give you the latest update on the tropics as Tropical Depression 19 is set to strengthen in the Gulf of Mexico. And today is Saturday, September 12th. So we're going to give you the latest update this morning on all things happening in the tropics. And you might recall the list of names that we've gone through. We have Paulette currently in the Atlantic, as well as Renee, both considered tropical storms. Sally is the next name up for grabs, which Tropical Depression 19 could take on. And if it doesn't and something else could take that name first, we could see Teddy also developing very shortly after, if not a little bit sooner rather than later. Only 4 more names left on this list until we hit the Greek alphabet. Here's an overview of the tropics as of about 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. This is what we're dealing with. Tropical Storm Paulette in the central parts of the Atlantic. Tropical Storm Renee, barely a tropical storm at this very moment. Tropical Depression 19 situated just south of Florida, right near the Keys of Florida. And we've got a couple areas that we're continuing to watch. This area of red, this swatch right here, has the highest development, not only over the next 48 hours, but over the next 5 days. So this could become Sally if Tropical Depression 19 does not take the name first. But we could also see Teddy if Sally is already taken by either of these systems. Teddy looks to be next on the list and happening a little bit sooner rather than later. We're taking a look on radar at Tropical Depression 19 right now, situated right near the Keys of Florida. Like I already mentioned, loads of rainfall expected over the peninsula of Florida, and that's why you're seeing these green outlines, these polygons right here. These are flood watches in place for parts of Florida, central Florida, even stretching up a little bit farther near parts of northern Florida too. We're going to continue to see these span into the Gulf Coast states as loads of rainfall expected to enter as the system going to continue to track into the Gulf of Mexico. Something else to point out is that this is a look at visible satellite. You can see a little bit larger this morning, further intensification going to happen as it actually breaks from land and enters the Gulf of Mexico. And there are a couple of reasons, and we'll get to those in just a little bit. Beyond just those flood watches up, we do have a tropical storm watch in place. This stretches all the way from parts of central Florida, the coast on the west coast of Florida near Tampa, stretching all the way up near the panhandle of Florida too. So there will be changes with this as this actually looks to continue to stretch a little bit farther, potentially impacting New Orleans upon landfall. Now, getting you the latest in terms of that track for you, here's what it's looking like. Tropical Depression 19 is what it's considered at this very moment, continuing its westward movement at about 9 miles an hour, sustained winds of 35 miles an hour, so just below tropical storm status. We're actually going to see it stretch into a tropical storm maybe this evening. If not this evening, very early tomorrow morning. This is actually positioned right at 2 a.m., but further intensification could happen a little bit quicker because of those warm sea surface temperatures. I'll have a look at that coming up in just a little bit, but it looks to hold true right now as a tropical storm as it nears landfall near parts of New Orleans, even near parts of Louisiana, stretching into Alabama. Mississippi could be impacted by the system. As you can see, this cone of uncertainty gets a little bit farther of a stretch as we near the days to come. So this is why that cone stretches. This is the most uncertain we could be, but as we get a little bit closer and tropical depression actually turns into a tropical storm and situates itself a little bit closer to land, this track will get a little bit more defined. But there are a couple things to talk about in terms of the tropics, and these are this area to watch from the potential Sally that could form out of Tropical Depression 19 as is. So this large area going to stretch all the way into the panhandle, parts of Louisiana, and even parts of potentially eastern coastal parts of Texas too, still up for consideration as to just how much rainfall some locations could see, gustier winds, as well as just this general tracking. So this is a look at the track along with sea surface temperatures, and like we talked about with Laura and Marco moving through parts of the Gulf, this is one of the main reasons further intensification happens very quickly as systems enter the Gulf of Mexico. It's because of these warm waters. Now, tropical systems themselves need a threshold of about 80 degrees in that water to continue to thrive, and we're talking temperatures in the upper 80s in parts of the Gulf, right around 86 degrees as we're nearing the coast of Louisiana. But it is a warm breeding ground for systems, and there are a couple other factors that will lead to potentially further intensification. So this tropical storm that looks to be making landfall as a tropical storm, could become a Category 1 hurricane. We'll keep you posted on any changes here. Here's a look at Paulette, still out in the central parts of the Atlantic, going to continue to strengthen right about early tomorrow morning. We will see this as a Category 1 hurricane as it nears Bermuda. This is about 2 a.m. on Monday. We'll see it right around Bermuda before hitting, potentially making landfall as a Category 2. So this is the iffy part here. If it doesn't make landfall, that's okay too, but this is going to continue to meander past Bermuda, back a little bit farther north and east, still holding true to that Category 2 hurricane status, and even falling back to a Category 1 hurricane status, still very far from land, going to make its way back into the central parts, even the north central parts of the Atlantic waters. So it poses no threat to Hampton Roads or the entire eastern seaboard for that fact. So there are a couple areas I mentioned that we have this one here of a chance of development, very low chance, going to continue to stretch a little bit farther near Texas and parts of Mexico. So a low chance there, but we do have a couple areas with a more moderate to higher risk over the next 2 to 5 days. This one, the more moderate chance, a low chance over the next 2 days, is tropical wave in particular, situated right now near the Cape Verde Islands, right off the coast of Africa. But over the next 5 days, it has about a 50% chance of development. This area, though, this is the area we're continuing to watch. I just mentioned that Tropical Depression 19 could become Sally, and if Sally isn't taken by Tropical Depression 19, this is that area that could become Tropical Storm Sally if we see that becoming named, or Tropical Depression from that part. But a high chance of development over the next 2 to 5 days. We'll keep you posted on any changes in particular with this one, but still a very far distance away from land in general. So a lot could change over the time frame, but if you have any comments, questions, or concerns about the tropics, don't feel free actually to reach out. Don't feel bad about reaching out if you have any questions in particular. The entire 13 News Now weather team will keep you posted on any changes. We'll see one from Rochelle coming up this evening.